Hello.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to this latest edition of Heathlands Themed Bingo.
Yeah, so we're on today. As you can see behind Mark, we are Bug Bingo. So all the creepy crawlers and bugs.
We are bugs, and it's
And we
bingo.
do have the fact book stained with coffee, so well used. How are you today, Mark?
Not too bad, thanks.
Good.
You?
Yeah, pretty good, thanks. Looking forward to the bingo today. As always, if you're at Heathlands roundabout, you can grab a game sheet offers. If you're not away somewhere else in the world, you can purchase this game from most good game and bookstores and watch the video back and just use the game sheets within the game. I say these videos will rack up, so there'll be plenty of them to go eventually. Cool.
Okay.
Should we get into it?
Yeah, let's get into it.
Let's get into it. Over to game view.
And as always, each round will have five different bugs. And once we get to the end of each round,
Recap.
Yeah, thank you for that, Michael. And we will keep this going until you get a line and get a house.
Yeah, so we'll go right to the end of the bag, so everyone gets a chance to finish. The comment section is open if anyone would like to comment when they get a line or a house, and we will shout them out.
Okay, with that being said, let's get underway. And the first one of this bingo is the cassava.
A cassava.
Mealybug.
Cassava mealybug. Imported from South America of Africa, imported from South America to Africa along with the cassava food crop. The cassava mealybug became a serious pest. An international project in the 1980s brought its natural enemy, a parasitoid wasp from South America, to Africa. Ooh, so it's a bit of a parasite, that one.
Yeah, the cassava mealybug. Next up is the large willow aphid.
A large willow aphid. The biggest aphid, or blackfly, found across northern Europe, Asia, and America. It is usually in there, being no males ever recorded. Oh, it's unusual in that no males have ever been recorded. The females reproduce by, away we go, pathogenesis, without mating, basically, which results in genetically identical daughters, clones. So it makes clones of itself.
Wow.
So everyone in the world is a clone.
The large willow aphid. The scary willow aphid.
Yeah.
Next up is the mole cricket.
A mole cricket. The mole cricket front legs are adapted to digging underground and look remarkably like those of its namesake. The song used by the male to attract females is amplified by the shape of the underground burrow they live in. So it makes some noises underground and attracts the females. Come and get it.
Okay, the mole cricket, moving on. Next up is the migratory locust.
A migratory locust. Historically, one of the most important crop pests. The migratory locust forms swarms numbering certainly in the millions, possibly even billions or trillions, eating everything edible in their path. The species switches between solitary and gregarious swarming. So they can be on their own, or they can swarm and just eat everything in their path.
Ah, the migratory locust. And now the final one, we have the fig wasp, or the fig roll.
Fig wasp. Okay. Fig wasp. And figs developed a evolutionary relationship that has lasted at least 8 million years, each relying on each other for survival. Figs are pollinated by the wasps, and the wasps are protected and nourished by the fig. So no figs, there's no wasps, and no wasps, there's no figs. For 80 million years. Wow. Long time.
And I like fig rolls as well. The fig wasp.
Yeah, you wouldn't want a wasp in there, though, would you?
No, no. So that's the end of this round. So can we have a
Recap.
There you go. First up was the cassava mealybug. Next up is the scary large bill aphid. Then we had the mole cricket. Then we had the migratory locust.
Yep. And then the last one was...
If I can find a...
It's an M.
We had the fig wasp.
Yep.
Or the fig roll.
Fig wasp. Definitely wouldn't want to put paste around it.
No, I just like fig rolls.
Yeah, I think most people do.
So anyway, moving on to round number 2. First up is the giant jungle nymph.
Giant jungle nymph. A kind of stick insect found in Southeast Asia. The giant jungle nymph reaches a body length of 166 millimeters, 6.5 inches. The species was discovered and named in 1798 from a single adult female. Females are protective, aggressive, and flightless. Yeah, me and Eva saw some of these yesterday at Ainbury Animal Park in York. And they are huge, big ones.
The giant jungle nymph. Next up is Chan's megastick.
Chan's megastick. The megastick. The longest insect in the world is the stick insect, found in Borneo and the Malay Peninsula. A female specimen in the Natural History Museum, London, is the longest at 563 millimeters long, over 14 inches. This insect was only named scientifically in 2008. There you go.
Oh,
That's huge, isn't it?
very huge.
Bigger than a ruler.
Chan's megastick. Next up is giant St. Helena's earwig.
Giant St. Helena's earwig. Known only for the tiny island of St. Helena in the South Atlantic. The last specimen of this earwig were collected in 1967. It is now extinct due to their habitat destruction or the accidentally introduced predatory centipede. So it was eaten by centipedes. Oh,
Oh,
no longer with us.
giant St. Helena's earwig. This one, I know Smith has had like a hard time pronouncing this one.
Well, then,
The tobacco
Thrisp.
But-
Tobacco thrisp.
Frips. Crisp.
Thrisp.
Crisps. Oh no, don't tell me.
Thrisps are unusual insects that are elongated and flattened. With feather-like fringed wings, they feed on plants, other insects, or pollen or fungal spores. Thrisps tobacci is a notorious pest of many different crops. There you go. The tobacco thrisp.
The tobacco crisp. See, even I'm having a hard time pronouncing it. And the final one of this round, the scorpion fly.
Scorpion fly. Let's have a look. Where you at? The end of the male abdomen in the scorpion flies resembles a string of a scorpion, or the sting of a scorpion, but the flies are actually harmless to humans. Research suggests they may be related to fleas, to the ancestors of flies, and to butterflies and moths. Also, it's related to loads of other insects, but it does look like it's going to sting you. But it won't. It's nice.
Weird. Scorpion fly. So that's the end of this round. So can we have a
Recap.
first up was the giant jungle nymph.
Yep. Big one.
Chan's megastick.
14 inches long.
Then we had giant St. Helena's earwig.
No longer with us.
Oh. The tobacco
Crisp.
crisp.
Feeds on various crops. I'm guessing tobacco being one of them.
And then finally, the scorpion fly.
Which is actually harmless.
Weird. So now moving on to round number 3. And first up is the giraffe
A
weevil.
giraffe weevil. Endemic to Madagascar, this weevil gets its name from the elongated neck, which is 2 to 3 times longer than the male. Longer in the male than the female. An example of sexual dimorphism, which means the males are different from the females.
Oh. Thought it went somewhere though.
No.
Giraffe weevil. Next up is the processional
Okay.
termite or the professional termite.
Processional termite. Native to the rainforests of South and Southeast Asia, India, China, east to Papua New Guinea. They are unusual termites, foraging openly in the grounds of up to 500,000 individuals, thus easily mistaken for army ants. But it's actually a termite.
The processional termite. Next up is the Lord Howe Island stick insect.
Lord Howe Island stick insect. Okay. Native to 2 small islands of the Australian coast. This insect was thought to be extinct due to the introduction of rats. An expedition in 2003 captured specimens which were buried in captivity, reintroduced after the rats had been eliminated. There you go. So it's with us. Almost wasn't, but it's back.
Lord Howe Island stick insect. Next up is the American cockroach.
Introduced to North America from Africa, possibly as early as 1625. The species thrives in warm climates and, due to the global trade, has spread worldwide, commonly found in restaurants, groceries, bakeries, and can develop in huge numbers. You wouldn't like to find that in your groceries, would you?
And nah, I wouldn't. Like, I've seen them in my fair share of horror movies and games. The American cockroach. And finally, of this round,
Yep.
the stag beetle.
Stag beetle. Known for the male's antler-like mouth parts used in fighting other males, the stag beetle is an energetic and emblematic species. Distributed across Europe to the Near East, its population has declined in recent decades due to the habitat loss and fragmentation. So basically, people building where they lived and getting cut off from each other.
The stag beetle.
So is it now time for a
Recap.
Yeah, it is. First up was the giraffe weevil.
males have a longer neck?
Then we had the processional termite.
Not to be confused for an ant.
Or a professional. Then we had Lord Howe's island stick insect.
Reintroduced in 2003, sorry.
There it is. Then we had the American cockroach.
Can be found around the world in a grocery store near you.
Gross. And then finally, the stag beetle.
Not doing too well at the moment, declining in numbers.
Now moving on to round number 4. And the first one is the monarch butterfly.
The monarch feeds on plants that make it poisonous to predators. Its migration from the northern US and Canada to Mexico was immortalized in the Beach Boys' song California Saga. The monarch autumn journey ends on a windswept cypress tree. Okay, that must be a line from the song.
The monarch butterfly. Next up is the caddisfly.
Caddisfly. Caddisflies are best known for the elaborate protective cases constructed by their aquatic larvae. In nature, the larva makes cases from different kinds of material, but given precious stones or particles of gold or silver, they form jewel-like enclosures. Ooh. So they can make it out of gold and silver as well.
Oh, the caddisfly. Next up, we have Megaphragma.
Megaphragma.
I was trying to do like epic hero music for that one.
It does sound like something out of a manga. Megaphragma. Currently the world's smallest known fully winged insect at only 0.17 millimeters. Like a Trichogrammidae, the family to which it belongs, it develops in the eggs of other insects. In the case of the Megaphragma, in the eggs of thrisps, many of which are agricultural pests. So it plants its eggs in other insects' eggs. Wow,
Yeah.
that is something out of a manga.
Mega Fragma. Next up is the orchid bee.
The orchid bee. Male orchid bees have modified legs used to collect and store different volatile compounds throughout their lives, primarily from orchids that do not produce nectar, found in South America, with one species established in the US. There we go.
The orchid bee.
Orchid bee. Doesn't really look like a bee.
No. And then finally, we have the stalk-eyed fly.
What the stalk-eyed fly. Stalk-eyed flies are the hammerhead sharks of the insect world, with a bizarre appearance and, unsurprisingly, extremely good vision that determines much of their behaviour. Males compete among each other with their relative eye spans. There you go. My eyes are bigger than yours.
The stalk-eyed fly. So that's the end of this round. So can we have a
Recap.
There you go. First up was the monarch butterfly. Then we had the caddisfly.
Who may build a shell out of gold and silver.
Then we had the mega fragma.
Who lays its eggs in other insects' eggs.
Not sure what to make of that. Then we had the orchid bee.
Who doesn't really look like a bee. Looks more like an alien, doesn't it?
An alien bee. And then finally, stalk-eyed fly.
Males compete with eye distance. The further eyes apart, the better you are.
So now moving on to round number 5. And first up is very common insect.
Yeah.
The great yellow bumblebee.
A great yellow bumblebee. Okay. One of the most striking bumblebee species, it has shown a very dynamic, or shown a very dramatic decline in Europe and become a flagship species for the bumblebee conservation. Bumblebees account for 85% of the value of all insect pollinated crops in Europe. We need to save them. We need bees.
Yeah, we need bees. Believe it.
Yeah.
The great yellow bumblebee. Next up, we have the Encarsia wasp.
An Encarsia wasp. The most effective biological control agent in greenhouses, used for nearly a century against whitefly as a control. It has an advantage of hosts specifically attracting just 15 species of whitefly species. One adult female can kill up to 100 whiteflies in her lifetime. All right, so good if you've got a greenhouse.
The Encarsia wasp. Since we have like greenhouses, or sort of, what do we have here, Heathlands?
Polytunnels.
We have polytunnels.
Yeah.
You wouldn't see them in there, would you?
Well, they could potentially go in there to eat all the whitefly. I don't think people would like it if it was full of wasps. So.
I'll probably just put Smith in there. And I'll just leave him. Next up, we have the splendid metallic mantis.
A Splendid metallic mantis. Okay. Praying mantis are so named because of the front legs are often seen in positions that look as if they're praying, though in fact they're praying, catching other insects for food. The Metalliticus is rare and found in Southeast Asia. The splendid metallic mantis.
Next up is it's another type of wasp.
Okay.
Not wasp. Wasp.
Wasp.
Ruby-tailed wasp.
Ruby-tailed wasps lay their eggs in the nests of other solitary bees and wasps. When the eggs hatch, the larva eats the residents. Larvae and because of this, they are sometimes called cuckoo wasps. So, lay the eggs, and the larva comes out and eats all the other eggs. What a lovely thing that is.
Ruby-tailed wasp. And the last one of this round is Silence of the Lambs. Death's Head Hawk Moth.
Death's head hawk moth. Native to tropical Africa, this moth migrates to temperature climates and is common in Europe in the summer. It steals honey from beehives, and the skull-like markings on its thorax is thought to resemble the face of a worker bee. So basically pretended to be and steals honey.
Pretending to be a bee.
Yeah.
Death's Head Hawk Moth. So that's the end of this round. So can we have a
recap?
Thank you. First up was the Great Yellow Bumblebee.
In decline, but wanting to live.
Then we had the Incarcia Wasp.
Keeps down the whitefly in your greenhouse.
Then we had the Splendid Metallic Mantis.
Which is called a praying mantis because it looks like it's praying.
Then we had the Ruby-tailed Wasp.
Which lays its eggs in other egg nests, and the larvae eat the other eggs.
The floor is lava. And then finally, Death's Head Hawkmouth.
Which imitates bees and steals honey.
Now moving on to round number 6. And the first one of this round is Titan Longhorn Beetle.
Titan longhorn beetle. Okay. This is the world's longest beetle, when jaws and horns are not included. The larger males reach up to 167 millimeters, 6.5 inches long. When threatened, the adults make a hissing sound. Their mandibles can snap a pencil and cut human flesh. Ooh.
Oh.
So it's a nasty one. You don't want to bother it. Leave it alone.
Titan Longhorn Beetle. Next up is the Midas fly.
Midas fly. The world's largest fly. It lives in central and southern Brazil. Its body length reaching 62.3 millimeters, 2.25 inches long. And its wingspan is 116.7 millimeters, 4.5 inches long. Females lay eggs inside the nests of leafcutter ants, and the larvae live among the debris of these nests. There you go.
The Midas fly. Next up is the golden drummer cicada.
Golden drummer cicada. This spectacularly patterned cicada occurs only in central Australia. The young stages, or young stags rather, called nymphs, feed on roots of the river red gum for 7 years before emerging, after which they live for only 2 weeks. Wow. So they live on the roots for 7 years and then come out and die within 2 weeks.
Oh. Golden drummer cicada. And next one is another cicada.
Okay.
The Empress.
The empress cicada. The largest cicada, with a wingspan of the males reaches 217 millimeters, 8.5 inches, with a body length of 70 millimeters, 2 3/4 inches. The young males have mole-like front legs for digging underground. Adult males attract females by singing en masse the sound that can be deafening. Okay. Basically, they sing together to attract females. All the men get together and do a bit of karaoke.
A bit more than karaoke. But anyway, the Empress cicada. And then the final one of this round is the cassava mealybug wasp.
The most successful classical biological control agent of all time. The introduction of cassava to Africa with its major pest, Phencacus manichatai, inspired a search for predators in its original habitat. Andygyrus lopezi was located successfully and introduced to Africa, where it ate all the cassava mealybugs.
The cassava mealybug wasp. That's the end of this round. So can we have a
Recap.
There you go. First up was the Titan longhorn beetle.
Which can pierce your skin.
Ooh. Then we had the Midas fly.
I think it was a wingspan of 4 inches, that one.
Then we had the golden drummer cicada.
Lives for 2 weeks after it comes out of the root.
Then we had the Empress cicada.
It's the biggest of all cicadas.
And then finally, the cassava mealybug wasp.
That basically eats cassava mealybugs.
So now moving on to round number 7. And the first one of this round is the tarantula hawk.
A tarantula hawk. The tarantula hawk females sting and paralyze the tarantula spider with its venom, laying a single egg on it. Slowly, the developing wasp larva sucks the spider's insides until it is ready to complete its development. So it lays its eggs on a tarantula, and the eggs basically eat the tarantula until they're ready to hatch. It doesn't say it kills the tarantula, just eats it.
The tarantula hawk. Next up is the tobacco whitefly.
Tobacco or whitefly. One of the worst agricultural pests. causing direct damage to plants by feeding on the leaves, but also transmitting more than 100 viruses and diseases. Fortunately, in many situations, they can be controlled by parasitoid wasps. So good old wasps eat them. And we think wasps are bad.
The tobacco whitefly. Next up is another type of butterfly, the sunset morpho.
The largest of the spectacular morpho group of butterflies, with a wingspan of up to 20 centimeters, 8 inches. Males can travel 30 kilometers, 8.5 miles, in 2 to 3 hours on a journey lasting several days, looking for a female with which to mate. So basically, he travels around looking for girls on the pull.
The sunset morpho. Next up is Raja Brooks birdwing.
Raja Brooks birdwing. One of the most striking butterflies. Males are highly gregarious. Up to 80 individuals are found together, often feeding in puddles, while females are relatively rare, flying high in the forest canopy. So when you see them, you generally see the males, the females keep themselves to themselves.
Raja Brooks birdwing, not books. And now the final one of this round, we have another common insect.
Okay.
The field cricket.
Field cricket. Found in Central and Northern Europe, field cricket is one of the most threatened species. On the edge of extinction in many parts of its habitat, field crickets do not fly, and the males are fiercely territorial.
The field cricket. So that's the end of this round. So can we have a
Recap.
First up was the tarantula hawk.
Which young eat the tarantula's insides.
Then we had the tobacco whitefly.
Which destroys crops.
Then we had the sunset morpho.
Which is always on the pull.
Then we had Raja Brooks birdwing.
Yeah. Males drink out of puddles and the females hide up in the trees.
And then finally, the field cricket.
Which is on the decline in Europe. So I reckon we've gone past halfway now. So people will start to be getting lines and getting closer to that ever elusive house.
Moving on to round 8. And the first one of this round is... I don't know how I pronounce this.
Go on then.
First droppers Dobson fly.
Well, that's how you pronounce it. I pronounce it Stoffers Dobson fly, exactly the same. Dobson flies are related to licewigs. The larvae live in running water, and the females have powerful jaws, mandibles, that can cause a painful bite. The elongated jaws of the males are probably used in competitions with other males to win females.
First droppers Dobson fly. Next up, the giant hawker dragonfly.
Giant hawker dragonfly. Okay. The giant hawker has the largest wingspan of any dragonfly. A specimen in the Natural History Museum in London measures 172 millimeters long. It is found in Southeast Asia, in the Malay Peninsula, Sumatra, and Borneo. The giant hawker dragonfly.
Brown hogger dragonfly. Next up is a common insect of Egypt, or maybe ancient Egypt. The sacred scarab.
Scarab beetle. The dung beetle rolls dung into balls that are then buried and eaten, either by the beetle or its larva. In ancient Egypt, it was considered sacred because of the rolling was associated with the movement of the sun across the sky. The sacred scarab.
Sacred scarab. Next up, this round is the Hercules beetle.
Found in the rainforests of Central and Southern America. This is the longest horned beetle. Males can reach 171 millimeters, which is 6 3/4 inches, and uses their huge horns for fighting. Adults live for up to a year.
The Hercules beetle. And moving on to the last one of this round is another common insect.
Okay.
The harlequin ladybird beetle.
Harlequin ladybird beetle. Native to Asia, the species was introduced to North America and Europe to control aphids and scale insects. Its distribution is now almost worldwide and is considered a pest as a result of the outcompeting indigenous species. There you go.
Harlequin ladybird beetle.
Yeah.
So that's the end of this round. So can we have a...
We certainly can have a...
Recap.
First up was the Bryostophus Dobson fly.
Yeah, with big elongated mandibles.
Then we had the giant hawker dragonfly.
Biggest dragonfly in the world.
Then we had the ancient Egyptian sacred scarab.
Which rolls poop.
It. Then we had the Hercules beetle.
Uses its horn for fighting.
And then finally, we had the harlequin ladybird beetle.
An invasive beetle.
So now moving on to round number 9. And the first one of this round is the glowworm.
A glowworm. Okay. Glowworms are the wingless females of a beetle found in Europe and Asia. The glow is caused by a chemical reaction known as bioluminescence, which the females produce in order to attract males. There you go. So the females have been the flashy ones there.
Glowworm. So now moving on to the next one is... I wouldn't be lying to you if I told you this. The West African antlion.
Antlions are so called because the early stages larvae live at the bottom of pits made in loose soil, grabbing other insects, especially ants, that fall inside to the bottom, where the antlion larva lies in wait to eat them. Oh, that's a pleasant one.
West African antlion. Next up is the vampire moth.
Ooh, a vampire moth. As the name suggests, the vampire moths penetrate the skin of mammals, including humans, to drink their blood. They appear to be related to a group of fruit-piercing moths and have adapted to the ability to penetrate fruit to exploit the blood-yielding victims. A vampire moth will actually suck your blood.
Vampire moth. Next up is the fruit fly.
Common old fruit fly. The fruit fly, or vinegar fly, is the best known laboratory animal. Used for studies on genetics and inheritance, it is easy to rear in a laboratory and reproduces mutant forms that make it possible to follow the process of evolution. So they basically introduce deformities on purpose. Let's see how it reacts.
The fruit fly. And then the final one of this round is common insect, the honeybee.
The honeybee. Honeybees are unusual. Among the 20,000 bee species in the world, having a completely socially organized way of life, involving very large colonies. The honeybee is native to Eurasia and Africa and was introduced to the Americas. The honeybee.
Honeybee. So that's the end of this round. So can we have a recap? First up was the glowworm.
It's only the females that glow to attract the males.
What is it with the males attracting the females? The West African antlion.
Remember rightly, the little ones wait at the bottom of nests for things to fall in and eat them.
The vampire moth.
Actually does drink blood.
Yeah. Then we had the fruit fly,
which is used in laboratories to create mutants.
and finally, the honeybee.
Which produces honey.
Obviously. So now moving on to round number 10. And the first one of this round is the twisted wing fly.
A twisted wing fly. Twisted wing flies are very unusual insects, exhibiting extreme sexual dimorphism, where the males and females look completely different. All are parasitic on other insects. And in the case of Stylophis melitae, the eggs are laid on adult bees. There you go, the twisted wing fly.
All right, next up is the Colorado potato beetle.
Colorado potato beetle.
Or potato beetle. Potato.
A serious potato pest. This distinctive beetle originated in the southern US or possibly Mexico. It is now widespread in southern and central Asia, Europe, and parts of North America, and has developed resistance to most insecticides used against it. Oh, it's hard to get rid of.
The Colorado potato beetle. Next up is Don't Let Them Bite, The bedbug.
A bedbug. Bedbugs feed on mammal blood, including that of humans. The invention of the vacuum cleaner and improved hygiene drastically reduced their numbers. However, they are making a major comeback due to increased movement of people around the world. The bedbug.
The bedbug. Next up is the minute pirate bug.
A minute pirate bug. Okay.
Arr.
Aureus species are predatory bugs and generalist feeders around the world. Usually on plant-feeding insects, they are often used to control other insects pests of horticulture or agriculture. A practice called biological control or biocontrol for short. So they're used to eat other bugs.
The minute pirate bug. And the final one of this round, we have the giant water bug.
Giant water bug, where are you at? The largest aquatic insect in the world, with a maximum wingspan of 250 millimeters, which is 8.5 inches long, and a body length of 103 millimeters, 4 inches long. The mild and hind legs, or the mid and hind legs, used for swimming, while the pincer-like front legs are used for catching prey. The giant water bug.
Giant water bug. So that's the last one of this round. So can we have a
Recap.
First up was the twisted wing fly.
Yeah, well, the males are different from the females.
Then we had the Colorado potato beetle.
Hard to kill.
Then we had the bedbug.
That drinks your blood.
Then we had the minute pirate bug.
Used to keep other bugs in tow.
And then finally, the giant water bug.
Which uses his front legs to basically eat stuff and grab it.
So now moving on to round number 11.
Ooh, is this? I think we worked out it was going to be 12 rounds, maybe 13.
Usually about 13 with this bingo. And first up is the Wetapunga.
The Wetapunga. Related to crickets and grasshoppers, the Wetapunga are found in New Zealand, and the punga part of the name comes from the Morai god who looked after ugly creatures. Wheatus are known for their spiny hind legs used for defense. The Wetapunga.
Wetapunga. Next up is the rhinoceros botfly.
What? The rhinoceros botfly. Okay. Parasites that can only live in the stomachs of living rhinos, where they feed on blood and tissue. Adults are the largest flies in Africa, but live for only a few days, 3 to 5 in captivity, as they have reduced mouth parts. So they basically live most of life in stomachs of living rhinos.
Oh.
It's a very niche thing.
The rhinoceros botfly. Next up is the common bollworm.
Common bollworm. common wasp, common bollworm. One of the most serious agricultural pests in the world, especially in tropical Africa and Asia. The larvae, caterpillars, devastate crops, especially legumes such as chickpea and pigeon pea, but are also very destructive pests of cotton, tomatoes, and tobacco. So they eat everything way through.
The cotton bollworm. I said common bollworm. I
cotton bollworm.
apologize for that. Next up is the kissing bug.
It's a kissing bug. Also known as the harlequin bug. This insect feeds on the blood of mammals, including humans, and is capable of transmitting Chagas disease, a potentially deadly illness. The bug and the disease are restricted to Central and Southern America. The kissing bug.
The kissing bug.
You wouldn't want to be kissed off it, though.
I got my own.
You've got your own kissing bug.
Yeah. I'm going to do it. Now the last one of this round is the silk moth.
A silk moth. Silk moths have been cultivated over 5,000 years. The cultivated species feeds almost exclusively on the leaves of mulberry. Around 30,000 cocoons are required to make 0.5 kilograms of silk. The silk moth.
Silk moth. So that's the last one in this round. So can we have a
Recap.
recap? First up was the wetapunga.
Wetapunga. So that was New Zealand that was from, I think.
Then we had the rhinoceros botfly.
Which lives in a rhino's stomach.
No, the mentioned. Then we had the cotton bollworm.
Which destroys crops. Crops?
Crops.
Crops.
No, not cops.
Cops.
Then we had the kissing bug.
Which drinks your blood.
And then, right, finally, the silk moth.
Yeah.
So now moving on to round number 12.
Getting close.
And the first one is something that I very commonly had as a kid, head louse.
Head louse. The head louse attaches its eggs, nits, to the base of human hair, whereas the body louse variant lays them on fibres of clothing. Both are found around the world. There you go. Attach itself to clothing and your hair.
Yeah, I had that a lot when I was a kid.
Oh dear.
Head louse. Next up is the African malaria mosquito.
The most important vector of the parasite, Plasmodium, which kills more than 1 million people each year. It belongs to the species complex, a group of species that is very closely related and difficult to tell apart. The malaria mosquito.
Very deadly insect. Next up is another one. The plague flea.
Plague flea. Also known as the oriental or tropical rat flea. The plague flea is a parasite of rodents, especially rats, feeding on their blood. The flea acts as a vector carrier between rats and humans of the bacterial disease bubonic plague. So they get it off the rats and give it to humans. So nice of them.
Yeah, bubonic plague, very common in like the Middle Ages.
It was. Not so much now.
And the next one is the leaf cutter ant.
A leaf cutter ant. Leaf cutters are fungus-growing ants that can form complex colonies. They grow on a fungus on the leaves that they harvest to feed the colony. The colony can have up to 1 million individuals, and the queen can live for 15 years. Wow, that's quite long for an insect.
Ooh. The leaf cutter ant. And then the final one of this round is whoops. Loved it. Spiff's best friend,
Okay.
the common wasp.
Common wasp. Plenty of them around here. Distributed across most of Europe and Asia and introduced to Australia and New Zealand. A social species, it builds a paper nest from wood fibre, often using abandoned mammal burrows. In North America, related to stinging wasps, are known as yellow jacks, or yellow jackets rather.
The common wasp. So that's it for this round. So can we have a recap? First up was the head louse.
Mark's best friend.
My best friend as a kid. Then we had the African malaria mosquito.
Yeah, as you can guess from the name, it can give you malaria.
Then we had the plague flea.
Yeah, it gives the plague from rats to humans.
Then we had the leaf cutter ant.
Which the queen can live for 15 years.
Ooh. And then the final one, Spiff's best friend, the common wasp.
Yeah. Lives on wood and makes nests on.
So now moving on to round 13, which is the final
last
round of the bingo.
So there must be only be a couple left, is it? 2 or 3?
So first up is the great diving beetle.
Great diving. Oh, there we are. A large aquatic beetle found in Europe and Northern Asia. In still or slow running fresh water. It has a wide range of prey, including small fish, and is a good flyer, locating water from reflected moonlight. So it must fly at night time.
The great diving beetle. Next up is the African batbug.
An African batbug. A bloodsucker that feeds mainly on fruit bats in the caves of East Africa. Populations can reach millions, with up to 15 bugs living on each bat. Adults pierce the skin of their prey with their sharp, stabbing mouth parts. The African batbug.
African batbug. And then next up we have the tsetse fly.
A tsetse fly. One of 7 species of Glossina that feed on the blood of vertebrates and transmit trypanosome protozoans which cause the disease sleeping sickness, estimated to kill at least 250,000 people every year. Wow. You don't want them land on you. A tsetse fly.
And then the final bug of this
Okay.
bingo is very common, the housefly.
A housefly. Okay. Making up to 90% of all flies associated with humans. The housefly spreads many diseases to humans and other animals. However, it is also very effective in processing and recycling nutrients, and in the future may play a major role in controlling waste processing. There you go. A pest, but could be helpful.
The housefly. So that's it for this round. So can we have for one last time
Recap.
a recap? First up was the great diving beetle.
Yeah. Looks up for ponds at night time.
Then we had the African bat bug.
Can be up to 15 living off each bat.
Then we had the tsetse fly.
Which you definitely don't want landing on you.
And then finally, the housefly.
Which is a pest, but could be helpful to us in the future.
So that is it.
Yeah, we have done. You should have a house. And as always, if you don't have a house, you probably missed something. So you might have to look back and see where you came. But thank you very much for joining us. And we will be back live with another bingo in 2 weeks' time. So until then, see ya.
See ya. Bye.